Revolve's Q&A series. In today's episode, I'll be answering an email from Devin Thompson, who works on an assembly line in Oakland, California. He says, over the last 4 months, I've tried a bunch of times to ask my boss for a raise, but I always end up chickening out. And when I finally got the words out last week, he said he can't do it, and then he started a conversation with his secretary like I wasn't even there, so I just went back to work. But my rent has gone up, and I need a raise. How do I get my boss to give me a raise, and how do I work up the nerve to ask him without getting shut down or ignored? Well, let's get right into it. I can't promise that this advice will get you the raise that you need, but I can tell you a few things about my work history that might show you that I know what I'm talking about. I'm 40 years old, and since the age of 18, I've had 8 jobs. I've only been fired once. Almost every job that I've had, I've left for another job that I liked better. I worked at a record store for 8 years, 5 of those years as a manager, and I left that job to be a pharmacy technician. I was a pharmacy technician for 3 years, and after I left that job, I went to work at a fine arts foundry where we fabricated bronze and stainless steel sculptures. I stayed there for 9 years until they closed the doors temporarily, and by the time that they reopened the doors, I had moved on. The job I'm at now, I've been there for almost 2 years, and I spent the first 6 months out working 100 other temporary employees. Out of the 100, I was the only one they hired. So I'm going to give you some tips, and hopefully once you apply them, they will secure not just the raise that you're seeking, but a promotion, because a promotion is always better than a raise. If you aim for it, it could be yours, but you can't hit a target that you don't have. So first and foremost, you got to make sure that you are looking good on paper. And you do this by not cutting any corners, alright? And what I mean is, don't just not be late. Show up 5 or 10 minutes early every day. Hell, if you can consecutively be there before everybody else every day, the bosses love that. And they'll notice, believe me. Leave on time for lunch and come back on time. No leaving 5 minutes early and coming back 5 minutes late, and especially don't do both. You catch yourself standing around, get back to work. Don't leave early, and don't start getting ready to leave until it's time to clock out. Be the first one there and the last one to leave. Don't call in sick. Ask to come in late or ask to leave early unless it is absolutely necessary. And don't mess with your phone until break time. Those social media likes, posts, and replies can all wait until you're off the clock. Now, I know all of this sounds like common sense, but unfortunately, common sense isn't common anymore. In a world where almost everybody is doing all the things that I just told you not to do, if you're the one person not doing those things, believe me, your boss will notice. And besides, if you're not willing to do these things that every employee is expected to do, then you're certainly not going to be willing to follow the other pieces of advice that I have for you. And it's all because you really don't want this raise. If you really want it, you've got to do these things. Now, looking good on paper is just your starting point. So, if you're already on top of those things, or once you get on top of those things, the next step is to do more than what you're paid for. Now, people are scared to progress in life. And people who are scared to progress in life will say that you're just kissing ass or brown nosing or sucking up or whatever you want to call it. But really, what you're doing is you're showing your boss that you are worth investing in. You're doing these things because you're not scared to progress in life. Clearly, that's why you're asking for a raise or asking for a promotion, is because you're not scared to progress in life. Alright, so you're not sucking up, you're not kissing ass, you're not brown nosing. What you're doing is you're showing your boss that you are worth investing in. And that's what you have to do in order to get a raise, because that's what a raise is. It's an investment in an employee. You're asking him to invest in you more than they already have. You see, a lot of people think that you get paid X amount of money for every hour that you work, but you don't get paid for your time. You get paid for the amount of value that you put into that time. Which is why two people who work for the same company can earn two different weekly paychecks, because one is putting more value in than the other. If you are always doing the bare minimum, you will always stay at the lowest level position. Think of it this way. Nobody is going to let you drive their car until you put in the work and get your license, right? Okay, well, the same thing applies here. Nobody's going to give you a promotion until you put in the work and show that you are promotable. And that's way easier to do than it sounds. You just ask your boss what you need to do to get promoted, and then you do it. It's that simple. Decide what position you want to be promoted to, and then go after it. And a crucial part of going after it is to be vocal and communicative with your boss. Tell him that you want to be promoted to a specific position, and then ask him what's required to get that position. And then set up times and opportunities to learn, practice, and train for those responsibilities. You may have to learn how to operate special equipment, or use complex computer programs, or fill out and file special reports. But usually, once the boss sees that you're willing to learn new things and be more valuable around the workplace, then he'll make sure that you get the proper training so that you can move up. If you don't know what position you want to be promoted to, ask your boss about that too. Ask him if there are any positions about to open up, and then follow the steps I just gave you. Once you've decided what spot you want to move up to, even if that spot is not due to open anytime soon, be persistent about getting the training and experience for when it does open. So that when it does open, they'll already have their candidate. It's you. Now, while it's not likely that you'll get paid more because you're learning something new or training for a new position, it's almost certain that you won't get paid more money for not learning new things and not taking on more responsibilities. Not only that, but if you start training and a different position opens up than the one you're training for, you may get offered that spot based solely on your current process and the fact that you've shown that you are willing to make yourself more valuable to the company. It's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Okay. Now, everything that I'm saying here today is geared towards not just getting you a raise, but getting you to understand that that raise will not be an option until you are willing to do more than what you're paid for. However, the next bit of knowledge that I want to share with you is geared towards helping you have this conversation with your boss where you ask about getting trained and or being promoted. Thomas Jefferson once said, "I'm a firm believer in luck, and I found that the harder I work, the more I have of it." And Tom Waits once said, "Luck is when opportunity meets with preparation." So how do you get prepared to have this conversation with your boss? By making predictions. Because you see, you'll have a much better chance at getting what you want if you can answer your boss's questions before he has a chance to ask them. If you do this exercise that I'm about to describe to you, you'll turn the tables and shut your boss down instead of him shutting you down. So here's what you do. You take a piece of paper and you're going to draw 2 lines down the paper so that you create 3 columns. I usually fold mine first and then use the folds to draw the lines because that makes more precise lines, but you don't have to do that. That's just how I do it. So once you've done this, you're going to use the first column to make your talking points, the reasons that you need a raise, and basically everything you want to say to your boss. The second column, the middle column, you're going to use that to predict what you think your boss is going to say in response to what you said. And in the third column, you're going to write the responses that you will use to shut down your boss's arguments. Alright? So, I made some examples for you. First one says, "I need a raise." To which your boss is going to say, "I can't do it." And your response to that is there a promotion or an opening coming up that I can start to train for and then apply when it happens? Now granted, these are just examples. These aren't necessarily what you should say or what you're going to say, or even what you think your boss would say. You know your boss better than I do. Maybe he won't say, "I can't do it." Maybe he'll say what's in it for the company or whatever. Who knows? You gotta use your own predictions, but this is what I put. Okay? So my next example is, you're gonna say, "My rent just went up." And your boss says, "Not my problem." So then you say, "I'd like to take on more responsibility." Okay. Next option I have. I've been in the same position for X amount of years, let's say 4 years, 5 years, however long. And maybe your boss says, "But you've never shown me a reason to promote you, which is why you've always been in that same position." So maybe your response is, "Okay, but I'm asking now. I'm asking how to do that. And if you check my attendance record, I haven't missed a day or been late in 2 months. I'm working towards improvement." See, and that brings us back to that whole idea of looking good on paper. Okay? Now you see why that is an important first step. You need to make sure that you're not cutting corners and that you are meeting all the basic requirements that a boss expects you to meet. And if you can exceed those requirements, that's even better. Alright? The last example I gave is, "I'm ready to step up and work even harder than I've been working." And maybe your boss says, "There's no openings unless someone quits or gets fired." So then your response is it possible to get trained for any areas or positions just in case something opens up? And also that way I can be more helpful around the job place in the meantime. See, you need to make points like that. And the reason that you need to make points like that is because whether this conversation that you have with your boss leads to a promotion or not, and remember, you don't just want a raise, you want a promotion. Yes, it's going to require more responsibilities and more work because everything is a trade, but a raise is only going to get you so far. A promotion will carry you much further. Okay, so whether this conversation leads to a promotion or not, it's still a win, because then when an opportunity comes up for you to be promoted, you've shown them already, just by having this conversation, that you should be promoted. You've shown them that you're ready and that they should look to you. Now, once you're done writing all of this down and you're done making your predictions, the idea is to figure out how to successfully combine column 3 into column 1 so that you are keeping your boss from having any reasons to say any of these things. You're keeping your boss from having any reasons to not give you what you're asking for. And you can use this technique for any situation in life. It doesn't just have to be stuck to conversations with your boss. Having that conversation with your boss may not require you to make an argument for yourself, but if it does, you want to be ready. Like I said, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So my last piece of advice here is that if you have a lot of points that you feel like you need to make, you should probably write it all down the way you want to say it, in the order you want it said. And then use your phone's voice recorder to record yourself reading it out loud. Once you've done that, spend a couple of days listening to that recording over and over again. Once you've got it memorized, you're ready to go talk to your boss about that raise. Oh, super important. Don't forget to ask your boss first if he has a couple of minutes to talk to you before you get started giving him all the reasons why he should give you a raise or a promotion. Because if you don't ask him that, it affords him the opportunity to shut you down right away by saying he doesn't have the time. If you ask him if he has a few minutes to talk and he says not right now, politely do your best to schedule a time when he'll have a few minutes to talk to you. If that doesn't work out, make an effort to catch him at the start of a shift, maybe the end of a shift, but typically catching him at the start of the shift is going to be more beneficial. Now, I know this might sound like a lot of extra work, but it's not. Especially if you remind yourself what these extra steps will accomplish. If you are not willing to do these steps and you're not ready to do more than what you're paid for, then you don't really want a raise or a promotion. And if you're not making enough money, it's okay to look for another job. You know, I mean, you're just looking. That doesn't mean you're quitting this job. It's okay to look for another job. But even if you're going to do that, I still suggest that you prepare yourself, make some predictions, and go ask for that raise or promotion in the meantime, because the worst they can say is no. If they say yes, you'll make some more money while you're looking for a new job, and you'll have a new skill to add to your resume that you are showing these new job possibilities. But either way, these steps are worth taking. So I wish you the best of luck, Devin. I want you to shoot me an update when you get that promotion. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.